Hey there, Scoobies. Okay, I have a confession. I'm not a fan of Tara. I know, I'm sorry.
He hit my nose.
Okay, I said I'm sorry.
You're welcome.
I can't help it. But maybe I can explain it. I appreciate this will be a controversial stance, especially with the fandom being practically in love with her. But hopefully you'll understand my point of view. Even if no one agrees. It's well documented that Whedon was keen to have one of Buffy's BFFs come out, but wasn't sure which.
Well, he's buff. She never said anything about him being buff.
You think he's buff?
He's a very attractive man.
And I think I'm kind of gay.
Willow, just remember, a vampire's personality has nothing to do with the person it was.
Well, actually...
By the time season 4 rolls around, Willow and Oz's relationship is in full swing. As is often the case in TV, the real-world politics would take effect on the narrative of the show. Seth Green, wanting to explore a budding movie career, wanted out of his contract. This meant the show having to write a reason for his departure, and then look at an alternative story arc for Willow. Now, going through a new and traumatic experience, Willow finds herself in a vulnerable position. Like many before her, she focuses on her hobbies, and meets someone new. Now, I could say something profound about Willow finding solace in something familiar, a kinship through shared interests, and finding a like-minded soul. But for me, and again I apologise to the Terra fans out there, Terra is Willow Light. A carbon copy of Willow's character from Season 1. During the first few seasons, Willow played a particular role within the group. She was the academic computer whiz. She was the show's coy introvert to Buffy and Xander's extroverts. For want of another word, Willow was cute.
You buy me popcorn, and then you're all glad that I didn't get bit. And you put the tag back in my shirt. But I guess none of that means anything because...
Picking back up in Season 4, Terra's character seems to be a quiet introvert that develops a stutter in times of social anxiety, and that's it.
Maybe we could...
Yeah. Tara, guys, quiet. Do you have a suggestion?
Now, it sounds like I'm bashing on Terra for the sake of it, so I will dive a little deeper into some of my issues. But before I do, I'd like to make it clear that this is by no means an attack on Amber Benson, who I do feel plays the part expertly. Each member of the Scooby Gang has a defined personality and brings something unique to the group. I think part of my personal issues with Terra is that I don't see what her character adds that we haven't already had from Willow herself. Coming in Season 4, Terra has the honour of being introduced in arguably one of the best episodes in the entire show. Though in my opinion, during one of the more lacklustre seasons. Terra is wonderfully significant during the episode, and it's a shame that I felt her overall character arc was not as well thought out. Hush is about communication, or how our ability to communicate can often be a barrier to communication. The episode themes and Terra's character introduction are not simply a coincidence. The Wiccan group...
The most important thing is the Gaia newsletter. We need to get the message of blessing out to the sisters.
That appear to be the same vapid clique you might see in any high school.
Today's list meeting is called to order. Rebecca, you have the floor. If it pleases and sparkles, I suggest we continue deliberations on list 47D. Which girl has the cutest purse? Rebecca moves, we work on list 47D. Does that sparkle with all the girls? Sunshine!
Acts as a backdrop for Willow and Terra, who are more introverted. The scene sums up a lot of Terra's personality, and for the rest of the season, she's a wallflower that wilts in the light of day. Not being able to speak allow Willow and Terra to understand each other on a more fundamental level. It shows how powerful they can be when they're in sync. Over the next group of episodes, Willow meets up with Terra when she needs to do a spell that's outside of her own power. Other than this use of magic being a nifty allegory for their intimacy, the pair don't truly become a couple until New Moon Rising.
Tara, I have to tell you.
No, I understand. You have to be with the person you love.
I am.
This tends to conclude the Twillo story arc for Season 4. I don't hate it, I just don't love it as much as other members of the fandom. Interestingly, many of the cast brought back in Season 4 have now become season regulars in Season 5, as you can see in the title credits. But what about Terra? This is nicely encapsulated in the second episode of Season 5, where Terra sits down with Dawn, referring to them as non-Scoobies.
They're gonna be a little while longer doing the detective thing. Best non-Scoobies like you and me stay out of their way.
For all my other issues surrounding the character's lack of development, it seems like I'm not the only one that's noticed. The episode Family is the first Tara-centric episode, and it's great to see the show acknowledge her more. But...
I mean, she's nice.
Yeah, nice. It's just, I sort of...
I don't necessarily get her, but she's real nice.
Yeah.
Again, we are seeing the show be more self-aware of this glaring oversight of her character, which is amazing. Now it's been acknowledged, we're going to find out more, and she will be more incorporated. And what was Tara's big involvement this season?
What is it? No!
A mental capacity reduction resulting in the inability to effectively communicate feelings and emotions beyond that of an adolescent. In other words, she was one of Glory's victims, effectively taking her out of the active participant list. I mainly take issue with this due to Tara already having an introverted nature. I may have chosen this fate for a more extrovert Scooby, such as Xander. Again, I appreciate the emotional arc this is for Willow, which I have spoken about in a previous video, but again, Tara is being reduced to a plot device. This brings me to Season 6. Finally, an opportunity for growth. Willow's misuse of power now being a major problem, Tara takes her life into her own hands and decides to break up with Willow.
There's nothing you can say.
Tara, I didn't mean to...
To what? Violate my mind like that? How could you, Willow? How could you after what Glory did to me?
Compared to what we've seen before, this is huge. Tara's decision in this case is one of self-preservation, something we haven't previously seen, as most of her decisions evolve around being with Willow, not away from her. This newfound independence will give her the opportunity to finally develop as a character so that she can have a story arc all of her own and not be tied to Willow's.
Your shirt.
Oh, you gotta be me. I suppose what I'm trying to say is that Tara feels like a plot device for Willow rather than a person. Sure, she has her own thoughts and feelings, but what else? What are her desires outside of Willow? Does she have any other friends? What does she want to do with her life? Despite the name of this video, this isn't an attack on Tara. It's really an attack on the writers. I don't feel like her character has enough to do. She works within the Willow subplot, but only to spur Willow on as a character. Tara is a fan favourite, and for good reason. She doesn't have many personal demons, and she acts as a source of positive representation, and not only from an LGBT stance, but from the way she handles situations. She doesn't assume the worst of people, and when she does speak, it's usually to be helpful.
I just like to be useful, to the gang. I just never feel useful.
You are. You're essential.
So, that's it. I feel like Tara is an overhyped character in the community. Not because I don't like her as a character, but because I don't feel like she was ever really given much to do. And that's a damn shame. Okay, there you have it, folks. Feel free to let me have it in the comments below. But, whether you agree or not, please consider leaving a like and maybe subscribing if you're interested in my content. Until next time, take it easy.